this piece is the magic carpet. In the very beginning, the whole idea started out when I saw the magnetic ribbons that you see on cars. And I was thinking about the yellow ones especially because of the war in Iraq, and it would say support our troops. And at the time there was a lot of controversy about either you were for or against us, and I started thinking about like what that meant and why people were sticking these things on their cars. But then I started looking more and I saw like pink ones for breast cancer, multicolored ones for autism, and I was fascinated with this whole idea of the way people in America communicate. So then I decided to I bought one of these, the ribbons, and I had a breast cancer one and a support our troops yellow one. And so I decided to like repeat them on paper, and I bought these big scrolls of paper. They were like 10 feet long by like 5 feet. For some reason I decided just to cut around the images and make almost like a cutout. I originally made 5 of these screens that were like 4 feet by 6 feet long, and there were 5 of them, and you could walk inside. It was an environmental piece and be part of the piece. So that was the first piece, and then the second piece I made was called the ribbon wraparound, and in that piece I decided to just use the one roll without cutting it, and the roll was like 5 feet tall by like 12 feet long. And this time the ribbons went in a different direction. Instead of going like up and down, I made them sideways. The piece wrapped around almost like a shell, and you could walk inside this wraparound piece and be part of it too. Well, then I decided I liked that idea, but this time I was going to make the ribbons go in the direction of the length of the paper. And I was curious to see what it would look like if I didn't cut it. So this was the magic carpet piece, which I decided to make in my studio. What's fun about the piece is it's very versatile, and you can hang it really any way you want. But then I thought it would be really fun to see how it looked as if it were an awning, or where you could actually walk under it and then drape down. And I like the idea of opening my studio door and you see this panel and you're curious, what is it? And that entices you to walk in the door, and you walk in and then you can walk around it and besides it. And then what you notice is underneath it, the shadows coming through on the wall are the reflection of the piece itself, and it expands the space, but it's a negative of the piece, which is very interesting. And then along the floor, I took the cutouts from the piece and I made a design that borders the shadow on the floor. And then on the inside of it, I noticed where the light was very bright, I took glitter and I sprinkled it where the light patterns would be. So you have these patches of glitter there, and it kind of reminds me of a moonscape. Part of the idea, the concept of the piece, was I made it in paper because conceptually I also thought about this whole idea of connection and how frail it is, and people, coming together, and sort of like each individual piece was separate, being a ribbon, but then when it came together, it became something else visually. What I would like to do for the future of this piece is to see it outside somewhere, and even on a larger scale. I would like to try for a material like, say, aluminum, which would be light. It would also look interesting in a reflective surface, so the audience could see themselves in the piece too, and adding that other layer of involvement. And possibly another material could be like a sailcloth or a heavier material. I might be interested to see it like sort of blowing in the wind gently in a large park somewhere.